Namaskar, hello everyone. Welcome to the 14th episode of Money and Prosperity. I am Ashok Vyas. In addition to being host of this show, I also work with ITV Gold as Program Director and I'm founder president of Insight for Creativity. In our episode today, we will be talking about investment planning and financial professional Paresh Shahji will be educating us about this. Paresh Shah, as you know, is the managing principal of Paresh Shah Partners LLC. He is a certified financial planner and wealth strategist. For the past 22 years, he has helped individuals and businesses co-create innovative financial strategies. He, as you know, is a licensed CPE presenter. He educates CPAs as they guide their clients on investments, life, disability, and long-term care insurance. He specializes in pension and profit sharing plans, asset protection, estate planning, and business succession planning. Pareshji graduated as a chemical engineer, honors graduate from the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology at Kharagpur, India. He is a 2016 honoree for Long Island Business News Leaders in Diversity Awards. Pareshji resides in the town of Jericho in Long Island, New York with his wife Shimul and son Shamik. And I take this opportunity of welcoming you once again to Money and Prosperity. Pareshji, स्वागत है आपका.
Thank you, Ashok.
Very welcome.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be here and to discuss with you.
And Pareshji, there is so much that we want to learn about money and we always want to be more and more prosperous. And last time we were talking about investments. And I believe investment is very dear to many people because that is one doorway to stay prosperous and stay on the top of your game. And when we think about stocks, it's something mysterious if we don't know much about it. And because there is a nature that stocks can be volatile. Volatile means ups and downs. So one day you are very happy. Yes. Second day you must be very in a miserable condition. So last time when we were talking, if I recollect, we also touched just that the investment could help you generating fixed income on regular basis. Let's try and understand that a little bit more.
Yeah. So Ashokji, we talked about stocks. Stocks is ownership in the businesses, correct? So if there's ownership in the businesses, like you know, with businesses tend to go up or down depending on the environment for that specific business, but also depending on the overall general environment in the country. So there might be a portion of your money that you don't want these kind of fluctuations, but you want steady growth or you want steady income out of it. I'll give you one example, certificate of deposits, our CDs in our bank. You put the money into the bank will regularly give you a credit of a certain interest rate, like maybe 1% or 2% these days. But whatever that amount is, you know for sure that at the end of the term period, let's say you put the money in for 24 months, after 2 years you will get all that money back with the fixed guaranteed amount that you get back. That is what is called fixed income investment. So that is a guaranteed form of investment which can be used to reduce the volatility, the ups and downs inside any investment portfolio. If you have completely in stocks, it would go up and down a lot, but in place of that, you can invest in this. This is what we call, in a way, what you're doing is you're giving a loan to the bank. The bank in turn, what does it do? It takes that money and it will loan in turn to different people. So let us say that it loans to people who buy houses for mortgages.
Right.
Now, in turn, the bank might say, okay, I got 4.5% interest on this loan, giving it to, say, Ashokji, to you for your mortgage. But then they might say that, okay, if I get an investor at 4%, I will take the money from that investor and I will pocket 0.5% of income. That is, those such packages are called, it's a complex instrument called collateralized mortgage obligations, CMOs. So it can be as simple as a CD to as complex as a CMO. This is the whole range of instruments into which a person can invest. A very commonly used term that is used often in this case is called bonds. That is a commonly used term. And bonds, what does bonds mean? It's like loan to a corporate. Like when we give loan to a bank, we call it a CD. But if you're loaning to a company, you can call it a bond. That means there's a big business out there. They need some money for, say, developing a new line of products. So they will say, I will take money for 10 years. Every year I'll pay you interest. And then at the end of 10 years, I'll pay you your money back. That's a bond. So these are all various instruments which can give you steady income, return your principal at the end of a period of time, and those are called fixed income instruments.
So you shared tons of information, and there are various potential ways in which one can invest, but it appears like it's a complex space and it's difficult to identify what is the best course of action one should take. So what way you can help us learn more about it?
So again, Ashokji, as I had said last time, when doing investment, the plan comes first, and then the plan will decide what level or what type of instruments to use. As an example, if somebody wants to buy a house, say 2 years later or 3 years later, the best thing for him to do would be to have a CD. Why? Or a 3-year bond. Why? Because he wants guarantee that he should have the money on the day of the closing. Now, if he invests in the stock market, just during those 3 years, if the market goes down, if he invests 100, he might get back only 80 or 90. So a short term may not be the right thing for him to do. But if he has a longer horizon, then he could do more. Then you could divide the money into things which have low risk. But whenever there is low risk, the reward is also lower. And maybe you want to take a little more risk and get a little higher return. So then you can go for the CMOs that I talked about. So things like that. So you have to establish a risk profile for yourself and see where you want to stand and divide it over all of these areas.
So dividing over all of these areas and reaping the benefit of carefully and smart investment is something that most of our viewers would like to be in a position where they have a guaranteed income. And what are the other products, would you say, that can be used to be in the situation where you get the guaranteed income?
Yes. So insurance companies have some very good products, and they are called annuities. They can be used to obtain guaranteed income.
But Paridhi, what I understand about annuities, they are only fit for people who are about to retire.
Well, actually, that is not necessarily correct, Ashokji. You know, annuities can be. There are two basic type of annuities, which we call. One is what we call immediate annuities, and the second is what we call deferred annuities. So an immediate annuity is what you were referring to. That means I have a pool of money, I give it to the insurance company, and the insurance company guarantees that I will get a pension or an income for life. But there is another thing also the insurance company can do. They can say that, okay, give us your money and we will hold it for a period of 10 years or 12 years, whatever you want us to hold it, or even 5 years. And after that, we will give you income for life. Now, if that is the case, it is called a deferred annuity. Again, now things get a little complex here, but I do need to specify that there is two ways in which the investment of the money in a deferred annuity takes place. One is like a CD or a bond. That means there's a fixed rate. It could be 2, 3, 4%. And for the whole 10 years, you will just keep getting that rate of interest. But the second way is what is called a variable annuity, in which you can put the money, the underlying money, into some mutual funds. Ashokji, I really want to make one thing very clear, a very clear disclaimer for all our viewers. The variable annuities are very complex products. They have a lot of inbuilt fees and they have a lot of inbuilt features that often can be misunderstood by the lay person. So whenever you're thinking of investing in a variable annuity, please make sure that either you talk to a finance professional who can explain to you the product in detail, and even after that, go through the prospectus and understand the product and the fees for yourself. Because otherwise, you might wake up 10 years later thinking that a product is in a particular way, but it might be completely different. So that's a word of caution. It's a great play. Variable annuities are a great place where you can invest the money into mutual funds. And as we talked earlier, Ashokji, if you remember the conversation, that stock markets can tend to give you more returns than the bond market. So if you want an income, say 5 years or 10 years later, then these variable annuities can be a good place to be.
But Parili, when we're talking about variable annuity, which is directly tied to how the stock is doing in the market, so it can go up and it can go down also as per stock market. In that case, when the concern or the prime idea is to have a fixed income,
yes,
how will that be generated? How will that affect?
That's a great question, Ashokji, because you see, these variable annuities, I'd just like to explain one tax feature of variable annuities. If you put in after-tax money, that means which is in a CD into this, then each year as the money grows, you don't have to pay any taxes.
Oh, is it?
You only when you take out the money do you pay taxes. So that's one advantage of a variable annuity. But having said that, in the last 15 years, there has evolved a set of riders that can be added on top of your investment inside the mutual fund. And primarily that has what has driven the variable annuity as a means to get guaranteed income. I'm going to take a very simplistic example, Ashokji, but this is to explain how a variable annuity works. So on one side, the money is invested in mutual funds, and the mutual funds can go up or can go down. On the other hand, there is a rider, a guaranteed income rider inbuilt into these products. What does that mean? And you of course pay fees for all of this, but what does that rider do? Let's say the rider says that you will get a 5% growth rate or a 5% income every year. So in the initial period when the money is growing, every year they credit you with 5%. And then whatever that pool of money reaches, then they'll give you 5% income out of it. So on day one, when you invest, 10 years later what is going to be your minimum guaranteed income from that product. But there's an additional feature inside it, and that's why a variable annuity coupled with this becomes important. The additional feature inside it is that the variable annuity, there is a market instrument that can do more than the 5%. So if it does more, you'll get the higher amount. So in that way, Ashokji, as you can see, it permits you to take part in the rising part of the market, but it also gives you a protection buffer in terms of...
Parili, one question which many of our viewers might have in their mind, some people do not have a lot of money to be used for investment purposes, and yet they want to be a player in the market scenario. So what is, if there is any rough idea as to if you can keep aside N number of dollars, then you should consider investing anything like that?
I do not think that there is a set number of dollars. I think everyone should plan, Ashokji. But the more important thing is that what you need to establish is that there is going to come a point in your life when you will not be able to convert work into dollars. So our current income comes from delivering value or delivering work, and in exchange for that we get dollars. That is going to stop at that point. In investment parlance, we call that the retirement age. Okay. So at that time, you need a pool of money that will throw off income for you. Fortunately, in our country, we do have support from the government in the form of Social Security. But again, Social Security is also a challenge. So you need to think about that, even whether you have money or not. The important thing is to make a plan to get adequate income in retirement. And that could mean that you have some pool of money currently that can be invested, or you can add in savings every year and build to that point. Whatever you need to do, it's important to sit down and make that calculation.
And it is important to sit down with someone who understands what is going to result into which sort of help, support from the financial side. And it is quite exciting when you plan in advance with someone who knows the map of financial, I'm not using the word jargon, but various financial instruments that are available to us and potentially could be beneficial. And we in this show would be talking more about it, but that would be next year when you start making financial resolutions as to where do you want to go. And in order to do that, if you need to reach out to an expert, Paresh Shahji's phone number I would share with you again, that is 516-268-3446, and you can also email him at pshah@pareshshah.com. Pareshji, Happy New Year to you in advance, sir. Thank you very much for joining
Thank you,
us.
Ashok ji. Really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Money and prosperity, may that be with you all the time, and especially in upcoming New Year. Thanking Pareshji and thanking all of you for being with us.